great. Oh, good one. Oh, nice to see everyone. The meeting is now being live streamed. Got that. That's great. Okay, well, welcome to the Taupō District Council meeting for, where are we? February already. So, Councillor Kingi or Councillor Truman? Councillor Kingi, good to see you. Tong, I'm just wondering if you could do a karakia for us, please, Tong.
Oh, very, very good, Your Worship. I'm sure Councillor Truman was dying to do it, but I'll do it for him.
Thank you.
Yep. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hi ake ana te ata kura, he teo, he hoka, he hauhu, ti hei mauri ora. Thank you, Chair.
Kia ora, thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Kingi. From down there in Turangi today. So welcome everyone. Welcome those out there in the cyberspace or wherever you are. Thank you for joining in today. And councillors, Deputy Mayor, lovely to see you, and staff. Great to see you all. Apologies. Number one is apologies. Do I have any apologies, please?
Your Worship, I have a apology for early departure just after 2 p.m.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Rankin. That's it. If that could just be noted then, I think otherwise we've got a full house. Could I have a mover, please? Let that be noted. Councillor Williamson, thank you. Seconded by Kylie. Leonard, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Item number 2, any conflicts of interest pertaining to the items today? No?
Yes,
Okay.
I have, Mayor
sorry.
David, I have 4.2, the change to the existing road name.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a property there.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Guy. We will take note of that. Item number 3, confirmation of minutes of the ordinary council meeting on the 1st of February 2022. Any matters arising or any points of clarification of those minutes? No? Can I have a mover, please, that those minutes be accepted, please? Thank you, Councillor Rankin. Yep. Seconded by Councillor Guy. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 4.1, receipt of the minutes of the Lake Taupō Protection Project Joint Committee meeting held on the 19th of November. Any points of clarification of those minutes, please? Oh, can I have a mover? Sorry? Yep, moved by Councillor Leonard. Thank you. Second, Councillor Williamson. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. 4.2, change to existing road name. Who have we got up here?
I'll take it, Your Worship, in the absence of
Louise. Louise not here.
Yeah. So it's a pretty standard agenda item. That's just changing the road name, as you can see in the recommendations. So I'll take any questions, or I'll take the papers read.
Okay, any questions or queries of Mr. Ridd? So revokes the resolution, approves the change of existing name. Yeah, do we have any problem with that? No, could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rankin. Thank you. Could I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item number 4.3 is adoption of the draft speed management plan for the purpose of public consultation. I presume we have Bryson, is it? Or?
Yes.
Yep.
Good afternoon. I'm just going to present on getting the approval to essentially go to consultation for the draft speed management plan. I've got a little bit of a presentation just to go through what we've seen to date and a bit of background about where this come from to go over again. You would recall this has been through a couple of council workshops already late last year. And so I just want to recap on that, and then we can move into the actual agenda item.
Thanks, Bryson. You want to share the screen? You've got a little bit of echo there, but I'm hearing you okay. You might be in a busy office.
Yeah, I am. Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Cool.
I'll just bring up my presentation.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can share that.
So 6 by 3, 6 meters wide, 3 meters long table.
All right, just give me a second.
We've got the size of the road.
I asked for an additional meter or 2 meters to get up to an 8 meter wide road. And then an additional 8 that's just 3 meters. That's the whole thing. The annex thing,
Right. So, as I said, you've seen a little bit of this before, and today we're just going to talk about a bit of that street speed management plan and where it's come from. So we're just going to do a bit of a recap and then talk about things we have said in the previous workshop about principles and prioritizations, and then where we're going to, and move into the talk about the consultation work that we're looking to begin.
Hey, Bryson, there's a lot of noise in the background there. Do you mind just, can they,
Okay, all right.
sorry. It's not a showstopper, but it's quite annoying. That's
I can move rooms. So, to keep going, the speed management plan has come from a lot of different plans. That's the wrong screen. There we go. So it starts off from a national level when we talked about the Road to Zero, and the Road to Zero is currently got out in the public realm in an advertising campaign. So Road to Zero is really just about recognising a path forward to reducing our death and serious injury and our trauma on our roads. You might have seen some of the advertisements, and there's still some more to come in that program. So the next one is the Road to Zero for the Waikato region. So the Waikato region did a specific plan around Road to Zero and focused on our region and trying to come up with some key points. And in each of those, there's items in there about creating safe speeds. We also have our transport strategy, which actually identified the need for a speed limit change and that we might need to move to more safer speeds and district-wide speed management, which is all backed up by the setting of the speed limit rule changes that are currently underway at a national level. So they're changing the way we set our speed limits, and we're playing with the speed management plan. We are aligning to that process. So speed is quite crucial when it comes to crashes. It could reduce the chance of a crash happening, but more importantly, it reduces the consequences. So essentially, it's exponential. So as soon as you go over a certain threshold, so for instance, a pedestrian crash, as soon as we get over this sort of 30-kilometre-hour sort of road, the risk of serious or fatality increases dramatically. And that can be seen with the side impact and the head-on as well. So, as soon as we hit a certain speed limit, then the risk or the chance of someone dying or getting seriously injured on a road increases significantly. So we're aligning to this sort of thinking with our speed management plan, and saying that, well, if that's the risk, then we probably should set our speed limits to to better mitigate such a risk. And you'll see that theme throughout our speed limit changes that we're proposing. So on the prioritisation, we're kind of just looking at, this is our 10-year plan, or we'll split into 3 stages or 3 LTPs, long-term plans. So the first one, which is what we're currently in, we're focusing on these high-risk sort of areas. So we've got town centres or high people places. They've got school frontages and school accesses. We've got top 10 DSI savings on our rural network. And then some other roads that kind of join on to that and kind of make sense. And we've also included a high level of public service requests and new subdivisions, which don't currently have a properly set speed limit. So those are the ones we're kind of focusing on this time round. And then the next time round, in the next LTP, we're looking at some roads that are at the next worst cases, or next ones that require saving, 10% DSI savings, but also ones that generally require a little bit more engineering to achieve. So we can plan for it, and we can put some money towards it and really make those benefits out of that. And then in the third round, in 7+ years, then we're looking at to kind of complete this speed change strategy or speed management plan by finishing off the roads that don't have much traffic or are very low volumes. Just make sure they align with this whole speed management strategy. That's kind of a short recap that I kind of wanted to complete. It's just a bit of about why we're doing it and what we're doing. So if we just, in the paper, so just stop sharing. We're looking to, for this paper, we're looking to get your recommendation to go to consultation and undertake engagement with the community. So we're looking at a 2-month process starting, I believe it's the 13th of March or 14th of March, and running that through to the 13th of May. So we're looking at a 2-month, and we decided on 2 months because we understand that this is quite a big topic for our community, and that people are going to have a lot of opinions. So we wanted to make sure we captured all those opinions. It's good to have it that extended because there is a bit of a conflict with the annual plan consultation. So this, to avoid conflict from a resource point of view, we've extended the time frame for it to allow for it to close at different times, and to allow people to consult on one and then potentially have time still left to consult on ours as well.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, Bryson. Any questions? I suppose just a quick one from me, and just a trivial one. Well, not a trivial one, but one I might have missed it. Whangamata Road. When are you reviewing the speed on that?
We're proposing, in this current round, we're proposing to be 80 kilometres an hour.
Cool. Okay. Cool. So obviously there's another activity out there this morning. One on Friday, I think. Couple last week. Cafe. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Okay. Any questions of Bryson apart from that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I've got one in particular. I noticed going through, so I haven't got it on my screen, unfortunately. A number of it appeared to me as though you had a speed restriction that exists at the moment, and then you had an average speed of what vehicles were doing on that particular area and what the recommendation to change would be. It was interesting that nearly all, if not all, I think there may have been one exception, the speeds on those particular pieces of road were less than what the speed signs say at the moment. So why would you change?
So the indicative speed for that is less. Well, to create a speed limit that actually matches what's currently out there, and it's more about creating a speed limit that actually matches the risk of the road environment. So there are a few risks out there, and we're trying to make sure that speeds reflect the neighbouring surroundings as well as the road itself. So it's really kind of based on a risk management type approach, as well as it's a risk management type approach. We're managing risks through speed limits.
If the speed limits are not being exceeded, though, I find it interesting. You talked about the environment, etc., but if they're not being exceeded now, why change?
Well, why not? Is the next question. Why not make it an enforceable thing that people do the safe and appropriate speed limit? If they're doing the right thing now, then that doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Leonard.
Thank you, David. Just a couple of comments, really, Bryson. I appreciate the time that you've spent putting into this. I understand that this isn't essentially us, that it's something else coming through from central government. I appreciate that you're coming out to talk to our East Rural community group, but I would just like to urge all people to consider participating in this consultation process, especially in the rural sphere. It is going to have a huge impact on rural communities and rural people. And I just wanted to commend you on the funding that you applied to through Waka Kotahi to try and make some improvements to our road, and just to express the sadness that we didn't receive a lot of that funding, that most of the funding went to state highways. And this seems to be central government's move, is to reduce these speed limits as the answer to the roading issues. So I admire your time and space, but yeah, I see some challenges ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess just partly in support of Bryson's comments regarding the speed limit change, where the actual speeds are lower than the existing speed limit. I guess it more accurately reflects what is happening in reality on the ground. So that to me seems to be a more sensible approach. The only other comment I'd make is this is part of a wider picture in support of what Councillor Leonard has just said. And it is really important that the community have their say, as we've seen already with what's happened out on State Highway 5 between here and Napier, with the adequacy or lack thereof of community consultation. So I guess this is an opportunity for people to have their say. It's the thin edge of the wedge in terms of the speed rules around the country. If Waka Kotahi continue with what they are doing, which every indication is they will, you're going to see speed reductions on significant numbers of state highways, and we will then be forced into a position of doing what we're doing now. So I think it's good to front foot this and let the community have their say, and I'd encourage everyone to get in and have their say.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other comments or questions of Bryson? Councillor Guy.
Yes, thank you, Mayor David. I just noticed that a number of the key communities are not being spoken to until after the actual consultation document opens. Can you give me some indication as to how we're to communicate to these key communities prior to or before an actual physical meeting?
Yes, so I'm in the process of working up a draft letter to those ones that are going to be happening during the consultation period. We want to get their buy-in about how we engage the communities beforehand, because that's one of the goals through some of these community board meetings, is to gain how we're going to engage with them. So we're going to have to do for a couple of the communities, and I think it's Mangakino and Kinloch, we're going to have to go out early and ask how we engage, and then go to the meeting as well to hear their feedback and gain their support, essentially.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Councillor Guy. I presume that it's going to be quite, with the state 5 situation, as you say, Councillor Taylor, it's going to be quite, communicating is going to be a little bit easier, I think, because people are it's top of mind for a lot of people's minds. So hopefully they will submit. Okay, any other questions of Bryson on that particular subject? No? Okay, could I have a mover then that we accept the draft management plan to go out for public consultation? Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Seconded by Councillor Boddy. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against? Aye. Carried. 4.5. Thank you, Bryson. 4.5, approval of the plan change 37. Hillary, are you there? Hillary
4.4.
Should be 4.4, Your Worship.
Oh, sorry, 4.4, adoption of the annual plan. Tammy, sorry, you've been waiting patiently. How are you?
Oh, good afternoon, Your
Sorry,
Worship.
guys. Yep.
Good afternoon. Yes, just please take the paper as read. I would like to call your attention, though, to 3 changes that have recently come to our notice that we need to make. They're not major. And you've talked through them in the past. One of them is the targeted rate for the 5 Mile Bay ratepayers, and we are proposing to move away from targeted rates and just make it general rates as we've discussed. And so we're going to be putting in a line in there to talk about refunding payments to 5 Mile Bay ratepayers who've paid for the targeted rate. So that would be, so I would like those amendments to be noted as part of the adoption. The second one is that under solid waste, we had talked about the gas flare and the liner for the Broadlands Road landfill being an ongoing project. It has since come to our notice that that project will need to be deferred for a while, because for it to proceed, they need to have a resource consent granted from WRC. That process is underway, but until that is done, then there's no sense in going ahead with putting in the gas flare. So that will be deferred for a while. And finally, the Turangi-Kerbin channeling project, which is one of the things that was funded as part of the Crown infrastructure projects. We had put in 2.2 million for 2022-2023. That is still correct, but the total amount required, it would be 4.4 million for 2 years, so 2022 all the way through to 2024. And we think that in the interest of clarity and full transparency, it was worth putting in that full amount and the entire time frame as well. So that's a final amendment. So those are the 3 things. Otherwise, the document before you is perfect in itself.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Any questions of Tammy regarding the annual plan?
Yes.
Councillor Park.
Thank you, Your Worship. Timmy, just noting with the draft fees and charges, is that separate or this agenda item?
No, through the chair. The draft fees and charges are part of the consultation document, so they're through this agenda item.
Great. I just noticed that we were standardising 16 plus as if they're either senior rate, student rates, or adult. If they're not at different facilities. Were we going to do that at the museum as well, or is it staying as per the draft fees and charges?
So the current, as they are, is how we would stay. We had not proposed to standardize for the museum. It was only for entry to the recreation centre and gyms.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Park. Any other questions of Timmy? No? All right. Oh, Councillor Truman.
Sorry.
Oh,
sorry, this might not be a question for you, Timmy, but just wondering, so the Mangakino pool is currently free to use, but I just wonder, is that being communicated to the local community? I just wonder whether more needs to be put into that, because it's my understanding that we're trialing this for a couple of years to see what the take up is, and if it is, if the charges were the reason that the participation had dropped. So I'm just wondering, can we communicate that more in case that service is then lost because we're not getting people there and they didn't realise that it was free? Yeah.
So through Your Worship, certainly can, Councillor, and we can work with you in terms of the places that we do that for next summer, for when the pool reopens. Just I guess we do consider it a good news story that the numbers through the pool this year with what was done was amazing. can't remember exactly what it was, but it did blow the team away. They were very busy all the way through summer, so really good outcome.
That's awesome.
Great, thank you, and hopefully it flows on. Unfortunately, we had a fatality in the weekend, but yeah, otherwise it's been great swimming, and everybody's been safe out there. So hopefully that's just a small part of the cog that makes the changes. So thank you, Councillor Truman. I see Nellie is on screen too, so I'm sure she's listening as well. Thanks, Julie.
Yep, I've taken that on board. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Nellie. All right.
Just David.
Yep, Councillor Park.
Thank you, Your Worship. Gareth, are you and the exec team or the wider team, you know, everyone understands that construction costs and a lot of availability of product and whatnot is scarce in these COVID times. Are you quite comfortable that the rate increase that is proposed in the annual plan is sufficient enough to cover exorbitant costs and whatnot going forward? Because I know, you know, we've had to move some projects around and bow wave a few things and whatnot, but are you comfortable that financially that what we're going to be, the increases is going to be enough? Because unfortunately the costs do need to be passed on. It is a user pay system.
So I'll probably get Andrew to jump in and provide some commentary as well. But to answer your question from my perspective, Councillor, at the moment, no, I don't think I am, but that's because my crystal ball isn't as good as what it should be in a period when everything is so in so much turmoil, you know, and you look at the impacts that we've had to date, and we're dealing with the blunt end of that on a number of our projects, as you say, in terms of the escalation on costs and inflation rates and things like that. So look, I think it's probably fair to say from my perspective, it's the best guess that officers could make at the time with the information that they had. Is it going to be accurate? I'd say in these times, the percentage or the likelihood of it being absolutely accurate is lower than what we would like, but there's no better information that we can have to be able to get to that point. But Andrew, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
I agree with that totally, Gareth. One of the things that we're asking for in this consultation document, and I hope we'll get some feedback from the community on it, is the need for flexibility in our planning, and that's really important at the moment with these costs going up. We need to be able to make decisions on the fly, as it were, as the year gets underway, to optimise our capital program, and that's to cope with exactly what you're talking about there, Anna, which is the Councillor Park, which is the, you know, this quite unpredictable infrastructure market in terms of cost escalation, but also the availability of materials, availability of cassettes, and the availability of skilled labour. So as long as we have that flexibility, we can manage well. That really is key to it.
Thank you both.
Very good. Thank you, Andrew and Gareth. No more questions of Timmy. No? Okay, thanks very much, Timmy. Could I have a mover, please, that we put this out for consultation? Yes, Timmy.
Just wanted to clarify that we are asking for the motion to be amended to also include those amendments we've talked about.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. So there's a resolution there and as amended.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. Do I have a mover, please?
Just for you do, Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
Could that amendment be included? Is that amendment to the recommendation going to come up on the screen, or we're assuming that we've got it right?
Who is listening there? Shani. Let's just get that double checked. 25. You there, Shani? So did you get that, Shani?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have it ready for the screen, sorry, but I have captured the 3 changes that Tammy outlined earlier in the meeting. Okay. So I can make sure that they appear correctly in the resolution as Tammy outlined.
Do you mind just calling those out, Shani? Sorry.
I might ask Tammy just to do it quickly, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Certainly. Yes. And so the first one is to insert a line saying that we're proposing refunding 5 Mile Bay ratepayers who have paid the targeted rate in the past. We are deferring the delivery of the Broadlands Road gas and liner cover project post. And we are also making it clear that the Turangi-Kerbin channeling project will run for 2 years and its total cost is 4.4 million.
Okay. Also, you've got the one that adopts the consultation document, and then you've got list as amended, and those 3 points. Correct? Is that all right, John?
Yep, thank you.
Good. Okay. Did I have a? Sorry, did I get a mover? Councillor Park, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Williamson. Thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Very good. Okay, now 4.5. Approval of the plan change 37 to the Taupō District Plan. Hillary, are you there? Oh, you are. Hi, Hillary. Can't hear you, Hillary. Are you there?
Try that way. Is that going to work?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Now I can't hear you.
Oh, can you?
Sorry, can I just check that I can hear you now, David?
Yep,
Yeah.
testing. Can you hear me? No?
Right, there we go. Sorry, I was obviously something wasn't quite right there. So apologies.
Oh no, we can hear you loud and clear now.
And
Hillary,
I can hear you.
good
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And good afternoon to you, Mayor and councillors. Right, so just a pretty mechanical item here for Plan Change 37. Obviously, it's been through a pretty significant process over the past 18 months or so. We had around about 60 submissions in on Plan Change, and then I think it was about 13 people came in to speak to the Plan Change at the hearing, and was obviously heard by an excellent panel, which was done under our joint management agreement with the Māori Trust Board, and that was chaired by David Hill, and we had Dale Hanua and Councillor Kevin Taylor, who heard that process back in November. So the panel has now released their decision to approve Plan Change 37, but with some modifications. They've tightened things up a little bit. The subdivision consents would be a restricted discretionary activity now rather than controlled, and they've added a few more provisions in there in relation to some of the concerns that were raised through the hearing, such as traffic on Controlled Gates Bridge, cultural values, and a few other bits and pieces, such as stormwater and some SIP provisions. So the process from here is that decision gets notified, and then there's 30 working days for submitters to lodge an appeal with the Environment Court if they so wish. And then either if there's no appeals, or once appeals are resolved, then we come back to you for final approval at that point then. So this is just to get the go ahead with that, for that recommendation from the panel, and then to notify that decision to the public.
Cool. Thanks very much, Hillary. And understand the very big job that's been completed there. So appreciate the team involved. All right. Any questions of Hillary regarding Plan 37? No, all very straightforward. Yes, Councillor Body.
Hillary just mentioned stormwater. If I go to page 37 of the agenda and point 34, it states here, we also note that council had advised that as the existing wastewater network does not have the capacity to service the proposed development, it will need to be satisfied that the appropriate wastewater infrastructure is in place before development can occur. Has Hillary indicated that that would take place?
So through the chair, there's a trigger rule which sits in the plan change, which says no development can happen in this plan change area until capacity of wastewater has been addressed across Control Gates Bridge. That is a project that is currently in the LTP and is being worked on. And I guess has been something that we've been upfront with the applicant right from the beginning, is that that would be an issue that would need to be addressed, and therefore that's why the plan change came in, with that trigger rule already in there that no development would occur until that issue was resolved.
Okay, thank you. And then just very quickly, page 42.59, we note that some of the existing issues associated with LOS at the Norman Smith Street Wairaki Drive intersections would be resolved with the final proposed new Pohipi Road Wairaki Drive division and intersection. Can you explain how that's going to improve the Norman Smith situation?
Yeah, so there's as part of the plan change, there's a realignment of Pohipi Road through to line up with Hooker Falls Road, and the potential there for a roundabout. And so they're just talking about that intersection there. Through the hearing, they looked at that whole sort of stretch of road, including the roundabout at Spa Road and right up back to the top of Control Gates Hill as a sort of a whole connected system, really. And so rather than the issue just being about Control Gates Bridge, it's about making sure that whole system works effectively. So that's bit was saying that there was going to be some treatment of that intersection on the top of Control Gates Hill, which would help in some ways in addressing that part of the system.
Thank you, but the lights would still play a part in that.
The lights.
Norman
sorry,
Smith
just
lights.
Yeah. So, and I guess it's sort of a timing issue, isn't it, in terms of how much develop happens when a piece of Plan Change 37 land comes in for subdivision consent. They would have to do what's called an integrated traffic assessment, and so that's going to look at what's happening with other development, but also what's happening with the town centre redevelopment and so on, and what's happening with the roads at that point. So that kind of means that you can get a feel at the time for what's happening with everything on the ground when those subdivision consents come in. Does that help?
A little bit, but thank you anyway, Hilary.
Very good. Thanks,
Yes,
John.
Your Worship.
Yeah, Councillor Williamson.
Yeah, thanks, Hilary. Obviously, with the obviously point 32, I was summarising the main issues arising for submissions. The capacity at the Control Gas Bridge for transport. Obviously, we don't know what we don't know, because the evolution, presumably, of the second bridge would be a factor without, presuming that or predetermining that would be a factor on and how things would work through going forward.
Yeah, and that's what that integrated traffic assessment is about. It's about looking at a whole lot of factors that could influence traffic flow at that point in time. There's obviously already a fair bit of land that is already zoned for development out on the northern side of the bridge. So the plan change had to actually sort of consider that as that it could happen at any time. But it's possible that actually Plan Change 37 land could come in before some of that land does. So it's all just about allowing for an assessment of what's happening at that time and being able to take into account a whole lot of factors which may influence traffic flow, including what type of development they're looking at developing, what other developments happening on the north side of the bridge, what's happening with council roading plans and so on.
Yeah, thanks, Hilary.
Councillor Leonard.
Yeah, thanks, David. I've read this item quite carefully. I noticed out of the opinions that were shared, 44 were opposed, 12 were in support, and 2 not stated. That's a pretty huge percentage against this. I'm just thinking too about the emissions trading scheme and looking at our climate change, and we're meant to be reducing things post 2008, and I'm just not sure where this proposal sits in relation to that. We don't have a second bridge. We're already under a huge amount of pressure. I look at the precedents that go back to the wider development out at Kinloch some years ago, and due to the roading not being suitable where that ended up, I have concerns too around reverse sensitivities with contact energy land being opposite where this proposal is and what might end up there. And also that at our East Rural Committee meeting, Ngāti Whao and Ngāti Tahu representative has expressed more than once concerns around this plan change. So I just wanted to have those points recorded, please.
Oh, thank you very much, Councillor Leonard. Okay, any other questions of Hilary? All right, so there's 1 and 2 of the recommendation there that we notify this plan change. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Park, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Truman. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Would you like that recorded, Councillor Leonard?
Yes, please.
Yep, cool. Okay, thanks. The motion is carried. Thank you. All right, number 4.6, I think we believe we're up to. Mr. Green, Gareth, good afternoon.
Your worship. Hey, thank you. And I'm not going to labour the report. You've obviously all read it, and I will hand over to Andrew in just a second to walk you through the report as it's written. I will just sort of touch on the first couple of pages, though, particularly around some of the key things which are challenging us at the moment. In there, I've talked about the summer that we had, which obviously was a very busy summer, and really proud of our team and the way that they responded to the busy Christmas and New Year's period. Unfortunately, that's now come to a bit of an end, and our town and district don't look as busy as what they were, and the stats seem to back that up as a result of the impact of COVID and the red light settings, etc. Which is sort of being connected, a nice segue to the second sort of major issue at the moment, which is obviously COVID, and us as an organisation and a district struggling with the impacts of COVID, particularly around ensuring staff are available to continue the essential services that we provide. So we're working and doing a lot of hard work in that area, as well as supporting our health services around things like the distribution of rapid antigen test kits. And then the third piece to just highlight there, Your Worship, is our reform packages, or central government reform packages, which despite the other challenges, particularly COVID, are continuing with pace, which we're having to input into and is taking a considerable amount of time. So look, they're huge challenges for us. Even in a normal year, they're very significant. But the pleasing thing from my perspective, and again, Andrew will go through it, is to see that and you'll see that note that our operating revenue and expenditure is tracking favourably despite all those headwinds and challenges. And that is significant, because that's not the same as other councils who are struggling financially at the moment. So I think we're doing a pretty good job, all things considered, with the headwinds that we have. But happy to answer any questions, Your Worship, but maybe if we leave it to the end for the questions and just jump into Andrew to walk through the rest of the report.
Cool, thanks, Gareth. Any questions of Gareth? I note actually a full-page article in the Rotorua Post last week where they'd gone to their council wanting an extra $2 million operating costs. So thank you for keeping a good eye on that. Truly appreciated.
I wasn't going to refer to any particular councils, Your Worship, but there's a number around
I'm sorry,
who are experiencing challenges.
It was public information. It was quite a lengthy article in the paper. So, but anyway, thank you for highlighting that challenge that you have there. So, Andrew, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor and councillors, and thanks, Gareth, for introducing this. So, as you'll see from reading the paper, there's been plenty of activity since we last reported to you with our performance report in November. Activity does dip a little bit just over the summer. Some of our projects take a little bit of a hiatus for those weeks, the busy weeks of the summer, and the town centre transformation was a good example. There was less activity there. So our capital deployment does dip a little bit over the summer, but you'll see, and the reason I'm leading with this is we were talking about this quite a bit at the end of last year in terms of how we were going with our capital program. For the year for the half year to the end of December, we deployed $28.3 million worth of capital, and that's way up on the previous period, the same period last year, where we deployed about 16.6 million. So significant increase in the amount of capital we're deploying. We still feel like we're on track for a full year deployment of about $60 to $70 million worth of capital. That's what we'd previously indicated to you, and we still think that's about right. As Gareth mentioned, it's really pleasing to still be on track with most of our revenue and expenditure lines. I just wanted to address personnel costs in particular. So personnel costs are up slightly. The numbers that you have in front of you in this report are December numbers. I can report that in January, that's swung the other way. We just have January numbers in the last day or so, and in January our personnel costs are back slightly under budget. That cost line does move around a little bit. It's quite seasonal because we take on summer students over the summer. We have additional labour over the summer that works in jobs like lifeguard roles at the swimming pools. So that labour line can move around a little bit at this time of year. But it is back under in January. We'll keep a close eye on that as we go through the year. But broadly, my expectation is that we'll be slightly over for the full year for personnel costs. And that's really because our activity levels are well up. And you see that in some of the revenue lines. The fees and charges for things like building consents are well up on previous period and up on budget. And of course, there's a lot of mahi, which is behind that revenue, a lot of work which goes into processing consents and doing the hard work, and we have to pay for that. So that cost will, my expectation is for the full year will be up. The Treasury Report, you'll see the Treasury Report in there. We're compliant with all of our Treasury requirements for the quarter to the end of December. We've also started reporting on the CEO's delegations, which is something that we agreed with you when you changed the CEO's delegations in November 30th November meeting. And we've reported those through there. There's actually nothing to report in this month, but we have started reporting those. So you'll see those in this report going forward. That's all I wanted to mention. Otherwise, I'll take the report as read and welcome questions. If you have questions on individual projects from the project section, I might direct those questions to the exec members who sponsor those projects.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Cool. Appreciate that. We'll take questions probably. Questions, councillors. Councillor Rankin.
Mayor David, actually mine was a comment around Gareth's report. We talked about it this morning, but a lot of our ratepayers and residents think we've thrown in the towel in terms of three waters, and I think it's important just to mention in this forum that we have not, and that there is a select committee process coming up soon that we'll give them information about in terms of how they participate, because there's been lots of talk about it on social media, and Gareth had mentioned it in his report, and I think it's an important statement to make because we certainly have not given in or decided that there is nothing more that we can do. We're going to be part of that select committee process, and so should anyone who's concerned about it. The more, the better.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rankin. Councillor Truman.
Yeah. So I was just wanting to see on the community projects, if we can put the Mangakino Lakefront down as one of those significant projects. Like, I know on the scale of things it's not significant compared to things like Waiora House, etc., but for Mangakino that's kind of very significant, and I just would like to see some more action happening towards that, because it's been on the books for a while. So I'd just like to see going forward if that could be added.
Very, very happy to add that for you from next report.
Cool. Thank you. Any other questions, Andrew and Gareth?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just very quickly, I'm concerned, and this is not showing any disrespect, that it seems as though our financial reporting has been dumbed down. Now, the reason I raise that is I think we've got 5 or 6 pages in our agenda to do with treasury management, etc., where we used to get about 30 pages. For instance, if we look at the old days with the Treasury Report, we would know where exactly our investments were bank-wise, what our net borrowing was. It's page after page of information that we haven't got. We used to speak to the traffic light system as we went through those cost centres. And because the costings are given, you can sit there and see where the movements are, plus or minus the budget. To have a blank statement that we're meeting our Treasury obligations concerns me a little bit, because there are no numbers to go alongside it. And one of the most important jobs we have as councillors is to follow finance. So I don't know what the feelings are, but I would like to see almost going back, if not going back, to the way we used to do it when we had full reports.
So perhaps if I just answer that, John, when Andrew first came in and decided to change the system from what we've been using, certainly not a withheld information scenario. So I presume, Andrew, all those facts and figures are still very much available. It's just that was
That's right, Your Worship. All of those facts and figures are still produced. They're all very much available if you'd like them. We made a conscious decision, and this was part of our co-workshop with the exec and the councillors at Acacia Bay Hall earlier in this financial year, that we said we would take a less is more approach to financial reporting, and we were trying to report these higher level matters to you and lift the conversation a little. That's what we're doing at the moment. But certainly, if any of the elected members wanted more detail at any stage, please just fire me an email. I'm very happy to provide it. No problem.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for that answer. I just feel that as a councillor, I should not have to come to yourself to get the information. And for instance, if I go back to the past, if we look, for instance, at stormwater in 2020, we'll have the areas of stormwater being worked on with what the budgets are, where we are to date, that sort of information. As I said, it's about 30-something pages. Just so I don't feel that I can do my job properly if I don't have the document to be able to sit down and go through like I've done in the past, and in fact have on occasions picked up mistakes in the books.
Okay, well, I think you're picking up from Councillor Body, Andrew, that he would like that required information, if that's okay. And any other councillors, they just give you an email and let you know if they want that detailed information as well. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep, cool.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Councillor Body. All right, any other questions of Andrew and Gareth? No, all straightforward. So we have can we have a move that the Chief Executive's report be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Rankin. Seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Members' reports. Oh no, sorry, Shaney. Council engagements, 4.7.
Thank you, Your Worship. Since the agenda was produced, we did have a meeting of Te Kōpū a Kānapanapa put in on Wednesday morning next week. However, we've just received word from Waikato Regional Council that that will not take place now, and the meeting will be on the 28th as noted in the list. No other changes to the list. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you very much, Shaney. All right, so we'll take those as the read there. No changes there. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Mack, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Aye. Carried. Members' reports, 4.8. Councillor Rankin. Anything from you?
No, nothing to report, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you very much. Councillor Taylor.
No, nothing to report this month, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Leonard.
Yeah, just next month on the 10th, we will be hosting the New Zealand Dairy Industry Awards for the Central Plateau at the Great Lakes Centre. Hasn't been held in Taupō for quite some time, so looking forward to that event coming to town.
Great. Great. Get that event here. Appreciate it, Kylie. Councillor Mack.
Nope, nothing to report.
Thank you very much. Been very quiet today, sir. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. Today, as my role as council advocate for the Waipi Botanical Society, attended the barbecue for the volunteers last week. It was very well attended. And just an appreciation to all the volunteers attended on Tuesdays and Thursdays to keep the gardens in the immaculate condition they are. And also attended the, as a Friends of the Museum committee member, attended Val Raymond's transformation exhibition along with Councillor Yvonne Westerman last Friday night. It was actually incredible the legacy she has left for this district and New Zealand as well with their art. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Thank you for attending that. Councillor Guy.
No, nothing to report.
Okay, Councillor Truman.
Nothing.
Nothing. Thank you very much. Councillor Kingy.
Oh, nothing to report, Chair.
Thanks, Tom. Councillor Park.
Just to congratulate our events team and anyone else involved in securing the women's Super Rugby team squads who are going to base themselves in Taupō and Hamilton. I think that's fantastic to see some activity going on again out there.
Cool. Thank you, Councillor Park. Councillor Westerman.
It's further to what Councillor Williamson was saying, and while we're on live stream, just giving Val Raymond's exhibition a plug. If you haven't been to see it, please take the time. It's amazing.
Cool. Thank you, Councillor Westerman. I presume the products are for sale, are they, or are they just to exhibit?
Just for viewing.
Oh, just for viewing. Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you very much, councillors, for attending that. Have I missed anyone?
Yeah, you missed me, David, but that doesn't
Oh,
matter.
sorry, John. I
got nothing to report.
Okay, thanks very much, John. All right, so that's the public part of the meeting closed. Thank you. I just need a member. If someone could move the members' reports, please. Thank you, Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Guy. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's